going on, guys? This video is going to be a recap of KC versus T1. And then we're just going to kind of go into thinking how this next series of KC versus TL is going to go. So for the first game against KC versus T1, I mean, as you can tell from the champions that they drafted, it's a pretty bot lane centric draft. They have a Scion into Jace, which is amazing. They can play hard into between mid and bot, which I mean, yeah, the Ori should have priority over the Akali. I've seen really good Oris go up 10, 20 CS over Akali's if possible. So this is a great start of a draft. And they have good bot priority in the beginning, and then they invade the Nocturne on his red. So they do 3 camps, invade the Nocturne. And where this goes wrong is, so this is like the red buff area, right? And like they have the red positioned here, and then everyone else is like sitting here, right? And then like there's this wall, and then it's like this, right? And so like this is Pike, this is Nocturne, and this is their setup. And then like the Seraphine, is it not Seraphine? The Mel is like on the turret. So like the Mel's not incorporated. So right now they have a realistically a 1v3 because the Pike being over would be pretty terrible, right? Okay, that's their contest. For whatever reason, these guys, the bot lane, never push out the Nocturne. So he's actually able to do a 50-50 contest on the Smite, and Yike loses it. So now, obviously, this is terrible because even though, not even though, it's terrible because now Yike, who did 3 camps, is down 2 camps to the Nocturne, who can then just do his Krugs, and that's great. However, at the same time, they need to walk back, which naturally means that these two are going to go over here and contest you in the Tri-Brush, which, I mean, yeah, because it's like this, right? Something like this. Like, they have to go back through here. And so they contest him here. Meanwhile, Yike jumps over the Dragon Pit instead of walking with them. So now they are in a terrible spot, and it requires Busio to flash. And that looks bad at first. And then they have a 3v3, like an actual 3v3 in the river, like by the bot dot brush. And it goes pretty well, except for the fact that Callist goes too far on contesting, and then they realize it, like the CDs come back up for T1, and then Callist just doesn't respect flash it, which then baits Yike, and now Yike dies, again, 3 camps to 5, and he's dead, which now gives Nocturne more time to pump up his like farm. And Yike hasn't even done his bot side, which means they're all also like low level. They're level 1, level 2. So he's screwed. Like already from the start of this game, it's gonna be terrible for Yike. Uh and as it progresses, what ends up happening is their bot lane, Callist and Busio, they just permadie. Like they permadie to every Pike play. Like literally every Pike play, they're getting hooked, they're getting slammed, and a lot of it was like pretty obvious, to be honest, on like how it was going down. And yeah, like I think I saw an interview where like Busio was saying like, we could just sack every single wave and then go down a bunch of CS but not die. But the reality is like you also need to like they had one timer where they finally were gonna have Yike join them, and they die before the wave even starts. And so that play was over. And so his bot lane is permanently down. His mid lane is not even ahead against the Akali. And so now you have just a, Nefiri just trying to figure out what the hell to do, going down plus 60 CS, and the game just kind of quietly shut out from there. I mean, Canna obviously did a great job against Doran, and they couldn't really do much else outside of that. And even though there was like a few hiccups by T1, like, yeah, Casey just got slammed. And so that was bot lane's fault. And that was surprising because going into this tournament, I assume Casey's bot lane, which looked pretty decent against G2's bot lane, would be a force. Like, not necessarily, not be, okay, not maybe not say be a force, but like they would be good enough that I would not expect them to just lose the game. Like, of all the lanes, I would expect the bot lane to not be the ones to just lose the game. So that was not great as a start. But keep in mind, If you looked at TL also had issues in their first game where they're playing against Mel, and they did have opportunities to kill the Mel, and they failed, and they ended up just killing themselves, and then they kind of just died to a bunch of plays. So not great, right? Really not great. And keep in mind, like also some of these were like a 2v1 dives and things like that by Pays Carrier, like not even involving owner or faker. So yeah. You go into game two, and again, this is like kind of interesting. I mean, it's a little awkward in the sense that like for Casio, this can be kind of an obnoxious comp because it's like Bard Sintra. The Renekton's like decent. The Kiana, like she got buffed, and like I expected to see her because like when Kiana gets like in a reasonable clear, she is a very strong playmaker. And so, and like they've buffed lethality items, so like any champion that can utilize lethality items well is great. And what we end up seeing from this game is we see a generational Camille game by Busio. Um, just from the start, like he got barred the half HP while like they were trying to get a ward. The only downside is that owner invaded through bot try, which they did not expect. So like this is like, let's see how I do this. This is like the raptor camp, right? Like these are like the raptors. It's like they sent 3 people here to get this ward. Well, naturally, since they're showing 3 people, and this is like the bot lane, right? Like the bot lane of KC showing owner just snuck around and just did all 3 camps and then ganked bot. Oops, you can't see this. All 3 camps. There you go. He did all 3 camps and he just ganked bot. So that was rough because Camille burned her flash level 1 on Pays Carrier to gain priority and control, which is like fine. I mean, like it's kind of what you see from like these kinds of champions like Camille, but he dies. So that was a little rough. He dies. And then the Kiana shows up, and I would say like this is like a little bit later, but like the Kiana shows up. Um Actually was it a little bit later? No, he was level 3. Yeah, he was level 3. The Kiana shows up, and all Kalist had to do, like for T1, like if this is like the ball lane, right? Like it's like this is like the ball lane. All 3 of T1 members were like here, and they were all low HP, and Kalist had flash, so he's like here, and here's Yike, who also has flash and has the water element W, so he can like just freeze someone. And Pays had no flash, so these guys were screwed. And yet, for whatever reason, Kalist ease forward, which then puts himself in danger of being played on, and ends up giving owner the chance to kill Kalist, which should never happen. So they actually got a kill out of that, but again, Yike went up 2-0. So that was really good for them. He went up 2-0. But why did this game go so poorly despite them having such a massive lead? Because what ends up happening is Busio starts running around the map, like he finds a play on top side with Canna to kill Doran, and Canna is again becoming a huge monster in this game. So like again, another great game for Canna. Busio also is putting some time on mid to give Kyeahoo some angles to get a base off, which has been really great for him in this matchup. Um, and we kind of see like a revolving door of like Yike and Busio teaming up too, to having a lot of mid jungle support looks to kind of like snipe people, like they sniped Faker even. But the early game kind of slowed down because of the swaps. And this actually felt kind of like, I feel like AC did not practice swaps much at all. Like generally. Because the first swap that T1 does, it's like fine. It's not like, I think it actually does kill Canna because Canna was not expecting it. Um, but like after that fact, like they're trying to match them, right? But they're always like one step behind. And then what's also happening is like during swaps, like one of the most important thing is like where are my camps? Where are camps? Right? Because as a jungler, like you want to do something when you're on that side still, right? Like you don't want to just go there and then sit there and then you're not farming. So as long as like you're moving with the swaps and getting like camps at the same time, it's really good. And that's what T1 was doing. Meanwhile, on KC's side, it was actually the opposite. Um, opposite for KC. And what I mean by that is like Yike would have camps spawning on bot side, and yet his dual lane is on top side. So he would go bot side, he would do the camps, and then they would swap their duo to bot, and now his top camps are spawning. So he's always on the opposite side, which means he doesn't want to be there. He must play on the other side, right, where his camps are. What they needed to do is just to stay and plant themselves in one lane. So at a certain point, they just need to have Ezreal if he's top lane, like he was top lane. I think it was like after he got played on by Gragas, uh, and he survives. But once that happens, he's supposed to base, go back top. His his Kiana finishes his bot side, then goes straight back to top side, and now they can dive and actually force situations that T1 must respond to because T1 never had to respond to anything. They were just going with their own flow, and it felt like KC were always a step behind, except for moments where like maybe Busio and Yike like pick someone off, and then it kind of like helps the situation. But like generally, that is like what was happening in early game after like lead they got, and it stalled them pretty bad. And granted, though, I will say like they were building up drags, so like they had like 3 drags, but then there was a terrible moment that happened on like the top side situation. So Yahoo's having a great series, to be honest. Like he's playing well in the Faker. He's definitely not the main cause of them losing or anything like that. Um, and so like like you have where the bot tier 2 is like this like the T2, and then like you have this little brush here, and then you have like the Krugs, right? Like these are like the Krugs. Krugs. He was here. This was him. This is Faker doing the wave. And so he makes a solo play on Faker and he kills him. And so you're thinking like, oh, that's really good. Like they had like 2 minutes before Soul, right? This was like the big thing. 2 minutes before Soul. So like this is the most important thing. We need to set up for Soul. Don't let anything bad happen. Like we have 5 minutes before this, like all this occurs. Like maybe we can make a play or two before it happens, which would be good. And so he made this play on his own, and that's massive because it's like now you continue control of the map because now you're up numbers on the map. But what happens? Well, on the other side, so like like you have like the big wall, and then this is like what is this? Why am I forgetting how this looks? It's like this, and this is like the blue. So Casey enters with Camille and Ezreal. So they're all entering in this area to get vision, because like they're trying to push the pacing. But Yike, Yike did the Krugs. Like he came down here after this play happened. He did the Krugs. A blue trinket showed here. I'm pretty sure he got showed here. In the second T1, I saw that. They immediately thought of a 5v4 on top side. This was like T1's biggest angle that they saw in their head. Like 5v4 top side, do this. We can switch. We can like flip the game completely on their heads, and they did. The Syndra TP'd. The Gragas was up here. I think he TP'd as well. And since they were so deep, like it didn't seem like that deep, but like since they were deep enough, like pushing in this area, the Bard caught the Camille, and then everyone tried to play for the Camille. Like Yike threw his like root Q onto Wukong, but owner flashed it and engaged, and they got wiped. And all this was from just Yike showing down here, and also from these Yike showing down here, and at the same time these guys trying to contest far forward on top, versus just playing shallow for the crab. And that actually would have been more than enough for them to just hold the map. Like they could have just shallow vision top, get the crab, reset, play on the map, they would get soul, and the game is won. Literally the game's won. But they wanted to push the pace, and they failed to identify what T1 saw, and now the game's going against them. Now we go into the drag. Now we have another drag. Also, I will say that Casey did make one really good play, with like a Renekton TP behind, and then Busio like had this really good catch onto Faker. So like there was, like I said, there was definitely good moments by KC, but like this one was like the defining, like just kind of flip the game on their heads. And then we get into the soul fight, which I'm trying to recall. It went bad. I actually can't remember exactly why it went bad, but basically, like T1 did win it. Um, oh, I think they tried to go too deep, but then like Canna just got killed while trying to like chase deep. But he's not really like that strong against like 80 targets, and like Wukong and like Caitlyn do enough. And they kind of just lost it. Um, and then from there, it still wasn't over because like Casey were fighting back. They were finding good moments, um, which led to them actually getting Soul. So like they did secure Soul. I'm pretty sure in this game, right? Yeah, they did. Yeah, like they actually got Soul in this game, and they were still fighting pretty well. But I feel like as the game progressed, one, I feel like Kana, despite having that lead he had, some of his targeting was not great. Like some of the stun targets he chose did not work at all. I think also for Busio, he was getting kind of impatient. Oh, now I remember. Now I remember why they lost it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For that soul fight, so like this is like the drag pit, right? Like you have like this here, and then like you have this here, whatever. Camille and Kiana were here, and Faker was here shifting. And so Busio thought like they could make a quick pick on him. The only thing he didn't anticipate is that Yike had no flash. So he could not, the only thing he could do is W over. But if he W's over, I don't think he thought they could one shot the Syndra. And no one else was in range to do anything. So the only thing that you could get is maybe like Ezreal. And also, if they jump over, there's four, like basically four T1 members here. So like you have to one shot them. If you don't one shot them, then both these guys are dead and the fight is lost. So basically, Camille went over, died. Renekton went over here to try to like kind of like make something happen. Didn't work, died, and they lost the soul. Just like that. For the fourth drag. Obviously, like Casey ended up finding it again on the next drag, but yeah, like that was why they lost that soul fight. Um, but yeah, so we go into like these later stage fights, and so like Busio has to do a ton, and he found this incredible angle on mid. You know, like this is like the mid lane, and like he's. Ooh, I should do this differently. Like this is mid lane, little wall here, and you have like the raptor wall or whatever that's like over here or something. He's here, and here's Pays, and so he jumps over it, and he actually catches Pays, which and like there's some team one members like spread apart, like Gragas is like down here or something like that, and I think Owner is like over here, so they are a bit split. But the Bard gets a really fat R because Yike joins Camille because they're trying to one shot him, right? So Yike joins Camille, but they both get Bardard. They get frozen. So they get frozen here, and then you have the two core DPS of Cass and Ezreal trying to make up for it, but it's just not enough. Like the Gragas kind of starts peeling for them. There's a ton of CC coming with like the Syndra stuns, the Wukong are. Kana's like trying to catch up into the fight, but he's getting perma CC'd. Even when there was a moment where I'm like, oh, dude, he could flash W the Wukong and like they could kill him. But then I realized, oh, Wukong is like invisible in his W. Despite being stunned by Kassar, they can't see him. So there was Kana basically could do nothing. There was nothing he could do. And I think Kalist and Kyeahoo played it fine for what it was. I think the only difference is that Yike had to be more patient before going in the anticipation that he could get Bardard because he just died and did nothing. And the game kind of just closed out from there, which was really unfortunate, to be honest, because it was a very winnable game for KC. Like, they should have won that game. And then you go into this last game, and I mean, to say the least, yeah, Kalist and Busio messed up big time. Like, one, he's going Helm Varus. So the idea is like, if you're not going to auto lose to the trades, right? To Pays and Carrier. At the same time, you're not really going to do as much trading, like, well, good trading in the beginning either, because you just do less damage, right? Especially at level 1. So they fight a bit hard for level 1, which gives some advantage to Pays. And then level 2 happens, and since because of the level 1 damage they took, Pays is able to get Kalista's Flash, which is really bad. Then they enter into a standoff where like this is like the tri brush, right? Like the tri brush area, and then like you have like the dot brush here, and then like you have like the lane, right? Like this is like the lane in bot lane. So this is Kalist. This is Busio. Then you have like Pays, and then you have Kyeahoo, right? And this is Owner. Owner showed like they know, right? Like they 100% know that Owner is here. KC no, and he has flash, right? But no flash on Kalist. He literally just runs straight bot, flash, flag and drag, and they kill Kalist. And then for whatever reason, Yike in this moment, like for one, like it was a great like Bilio Q on carry on Yike because it kind of like offsets him because like Yike is like here, but then Yike lost his flash. I don't know why he flashed the way he did, and he kills Owner, but then he dies too. So they lost both Yike and Varus all in that one play. And then as we continue into this lane, you know, there was like a moment where Busio was here and like here was Kalist. And for whatever reason, they're contesting in front of Paze's face with Carrier like offset here. And Busio just didn't think that Paze would just go and murder him instantly, which is what happened. He literally just jumped on Busio because he's just contesting far forward and they're already losing, and he died. Keep in mind, Kalist has like literally nothing. Like I think he had double dagger, which is the attack speed base item, 250. So he had nothing, literally no AD, nothing. And so the bot lane is screwed at this point. At the same time, we look at top lane, Canna is actually railing Doran. Like, he is well ahead, and they're also putting some resources in top now to get kills on the Doran. So, yeah, like, yeah, Canna at one point was 8-0. 8-0. Kyeahoo solo killed Faker in lane. So, again, he's doing very well. But the biggest issue KC had in this game is they just didn't know how to swap. They literally had two chances to try to swap and at least offset things. The first one, T1 was prepared for. You know, like it was at like 7:30 or something. Like they just killed Doran top with Canna, and they could overload top while having two camps for Yike and then grubs, right? Like that is the most important thing. You're overloading for grubs. And T1 thought that might happen, so they started shifting Pace up. And then Pace gets caught briefly because he's surprised, like, oh, they're not swapping. That's weird. But it gave them Kalist one push on bot, which then gave him another timer to go for a swap, and they don't take it. They actually stay put on bot. They try to take the enemy blue because the owner's on grubs. He pulls off grubs. They get no camps on bot. Then a forced 3v3 in which Paze gets a double kill. And they also used Gnar TP. And I assume what their main thing was thinking about was that they're trying to utilize the Gnar TP advantage to kind of, you know, make a good play on bot side. But it's really, you're really hoping for a lot because the advantage that Paze had at that point was so much that I feel like you would never get a good TP ward. And I feel like, you know, like for instance, if York has R in that moment, like he will definitely eat a ton top. And if it doesn't go well bot, it's even more, it's like way even worse. So, but that was their idea. Their idea was to use Gnar TP to like save their situation. And yet they just died. So now that's really bad. Now the early game is like just exploded. But despite that, T1 starts kind of making some mistakes, just like in some of the other games. And I think that's just mostly because the game is like kind of, honestly, the game is probably boring for them because of how bad KC are being in a way. Despite like Doran getting like blasted. Um, and the one nice thing though for KC is that like because Canna was so ahead, in like KC start overloading plays, it does give space for Faker to get strong, which is like not ideal, but because they start overloading, they keep control to like the game more. Um, and they're even able to get Baron again, partially because like T1 is starting to do some dumb stuff. But there are some like decent plays happening on KC side, but it starts exploding on their heads because they still are kind of over prioritizing playing two lanes and giving like space, especially like for Faker to push out. And then they have to kind of answer it, but then suddenly like Kana's isolated on mid against Paze and they kill him. Then Canna gets isolated on mid again because he's just trying to base and he dies again. So it gives some space for T1 to get back into the game. And then we get into this like last moment where Yike is on mid. He walks too far forward. Pays initiates him, and then Yike thinks he has to go, but he didn't have to go because no one was around him. Pays knew what was happening, and then he just died. Like Yike died, and everyone else got baited, and they lost the game, and that was their series. So from a grade level, looking at this like series, I mean, it's very funny thinking because like again, I watched some of KC games this year or this split. The one I'm remembering the most is the grand finals. And so Kana did not have a great grand finals, but currently against T1, he was great. Besides, like, there are team fight issues that he had, but generally he was great. You know, Yike, I would say he was just fine. I think he could have played better in many situations, to be honest, but he was fine. Like Kyeahoo, he was good. Like he had a good series. Like I don't know what to say. He had a good series, and so for the two lanes that were I was a little less unsure on based on the grand finals of like these guys need to show up, right? Like especially Kana, like that was someone they always depended on and leaned on, and it worked. I mean, like yeah, they lost 3-0, but like he was the guy. He was definitely a guy they could lean on, so that was great for them. Which also is making me thinking now in that game where like they could have swapped around in this like yeah, whatever. Like I think Renekton was 2-0. Or maybe not even 2-0. I think he was I can't remember if he's 2-0, but he was very strong. And he was gonna have his R for grubs. And for whatever reason, Casey decided not to try to slow play the map to see if T1 is gonna play for grubs or drag. Because if they play for grubs, they should fight with Renekton, because Renekton in the beginning of the game is a monster. And they kind of just let that slip through. And I'm sure Connor just like didn't tell them, right? But like that was a pretty critical moment. But for Kalist, like I think the only good game he had was on his Ezreal. Like watching the game, for sure he was doing some good things on Ezreal in the fights. Like I don't know if he could really do too much else like in some of these fights, but generally it was a pretty poor showing on his part. Like a lot of disrespectful, like just he's just not respecting the threats that are in front of him, just not reacting well, and just kind of just steadily dying out. For Busio, I think for him, this was also kind of mostly poor. Like, yeah, the Camille game was great. Like he had a really, really good Camille game. But just because you had a really good Camille game doesn't mean your other two games were that amazing either. Like, honestly, the Nico game and the Seraphine game were left a lot to be desired. So the lane that I expected the most from was the worst lane. Meanwhile, the lane that I was, like they praying would be better ended up being better. And then mid was actually consistently good, which is something I was worried on, and that was plus. So they kind of went the opposite direction than I thought. And at the same time, if I were to talk about TL, like comparing these two, if I was talking about TL, this guy's like kind of inconsistent, but also he was kind of great, honestly. Like Morgan did a great job against Doran as well. Jose was like again also sort of like in the same case of Yikes, just being fine. Quid, this was supposed to be one of their main strengths, was kind of poor, to be honest. And then Jan, unfortunately, kind of still continued to be semi poor, to be honest. Like he definitely left more to be desired as well. And then Court JJ was actually fine. Wow, I don't know why I did that. Like he was also fine. So it looks weird now because going into this series for KC TL, my thought process was that there was going to be a slight advantage in top based on like recency bias for Morgan. Jose would probably have a small edge over Yike, but right now it's like pretty even to me. And same with top lane, that seems pretty even as well. Like, uh, both of these guys did good. I mean, in the end, both of these guys good. Honestly, it might still be a slight advantage for Morgan, only because I think in some of the team fights, Morgan was quite good, to be honest. Compared to Kana, where I feel like in some fights he was kind of teetering a little bit. Quid, Yahoo looks better than Quid right now. That's a thing. So The mid advantage I was expecting from TL doesn't look so finite into Yahoo. At the same time, now we have to address the ball lane situation because it's like I expected KC to have a lead, but they looked so terrible against T1, just like TL. Maybe the ball lanes are a little bit more even than I anticipated. So, do I think am I going to rescind my my plans? Because right now I have KC is beating TL. This is what I have. I don't know what the game score is. This is just what my predictions were for my play-ins. Do I think this is still gonna hold? Honestly, I think one thing I'm a little worried on is the swap situation because I feel like TL probably will have a little better of an idea on it compared to KC, which is something KC struggled on. I think both these teams were having issues in similar areas. Uh, I'm not gonna lie. Part of me almost wants to say that there might be a little edge towards TL in that if Morgan is playing the way he's playing in fights, and TL can actually manage the fights a little bit better, sure. But I'm gonna assume that KC. I'm probably gonna hold this, hold it, keep it. I'll probably keep this prediction still, just because. Yeah, Yahoo is playing better. Quid is like kind of in an like off his game, so if that's gonna be the case, that's already amazing for KC. I don't think KC's ball lane is just gonna implode. I highly doubt, and like since Giannis not even playing like that great, anyways, like it's not like you're gonna just take a massive hit going into this series in bot lane, right? Which leaves like the other lanes to like kind of settle themselves out. And I think the only issue I can see it popping up is like the swap situation. Like if TL has a better idea on how this goes, then probably swaps into TL winning. But we'll keep the KC versus T1 over T1.